Hey guys, Tony here, and today I have been checking out Neoproxima, which is out now on Steam and costs £10.99. There's also a demo if you want to try out the game first. The game is set during the Cold War, light years away from Earth, and basically the core mechanic here is you're stuck in a time loop and you have to find out why, how, and what's behind it. It's primarily a text-based adventure game, but mixed with some exploration via driving a car and simple RPG survival mechanics. Each time you die or run out of will, which is basically time, the loop resets and off you go again. Outer Wilds was another game I guess you could liken this to in the time loop sense. So moving on to gameplay and a bit about the story, I won't spoil anything here, but basically you and your friends wake up after a heavy night on the drink. You're a bunch of freelance explorers. You go to explore this mysterious place and you get stuck in a time looping mess. Each time you wake up, you'll start again in the exact same area, but with all the knowledge you've already gained. So one early example of this is I found a plane crash. I then learned how it crashed and then gave that information to the pilots. So next time, you may actually survive. As it's a text-based adventure, the story is told via many text conversations. And I would say on the whole, it was decently written. There is some weird wording and spelling mistakes in parts of it, and sometimes it wasn't the most engaging conversation. It went on a little bit too long. But I'm the sort of guy who skips cutscenes, so maybe I'm not the core audience for this sort of thing. You'll also be given choices and so on as you go, which will lead to different dialogue trees, so you can test things out before the next loop. The story will take about 8 to 10 hours at most. It could have been a little bit shorter, but I think they did a good job at keeping it mostly engaging. There are a couple of endings to explore as well, which adds to the replayability. One major complaint I did have, and I found it frustrating all the way through this game, there's no way to skip a dialogue. So if you misclick a conversation that you've already been through many times, you'd have to sit there and read it all again. It's just really frustrating, and it's something they really need to add. Gameplay wise, you could say it's split into a few different things. First up is the loop. The loop is based on dying, running out of will, which is time, or you can just end it whenever you want. You can also fast forward time to an event. So say the pilot from before took off at 12 PM, you can skip to the moment he takes off and watch what happens instead of waiting in game time. And as I said, once the loop is over, you wake back up at the beginning in the hub area and you go again. Exploration is handled by driving your little car around the planet, which uses will as you drive. You will find weird forests that you need to buy a special compass to navigate. There's toxic swamps, which you'll need special equipment for. There's alien structures and hub areas to explore. And there's other odd things lying around which you will find. And you'll meet different characters, advance the story, and take part in little puzzles or like rule-based systems for getting out of a situation. So it'll be like roll and you have a 67% chance of success, for example. There are slight exploring elements here as well. Like, so when you're in it, it'll say like, do you want to go here? Do you want to go there? Do you want to speak to that person? Do you want to go and do there? Do you want to bribe that person? Do you want to give them something you've got? However, I would say on the whole, it's a very linear experience. It's not open world in any sense. And I know there's multiple endings, but I wouldn't say I would want to go through this experience again once I've completed it. You know, graphics wise, it's an indie game. The art style is nice. The UI is very 70s in its presentation, and I liked the way it all worked. Sound design is generally decent too, and even though it's text-based, they do add nice ambient effects and sound as you're reading through the stories. So in conclusion, it's a text-based adventure, but it has varied gameplay, and it does sound different to other text-based adventures, which makes it stand out. I'm not the core audience here for this one. I usually tend to avoid text-heavy games, but with the time loop mechanic, a sci-fi setting, the game kept me engaged in the story, and I didn't find a whole lot wrong with this, to be fair. Outside the spell mistakes and weird wording, there was nothing really to complain about. This is a must-buy for anyone who likes text-based adventures. I would say if you're a bit more like me, maybe wishlist it and wait for a sale and do it over a few sittings. But you know what? This is a fine example of a text-based adventure game. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got to say on this one. I'll catch you all later. Goodbye.